everybody, to the 20th episode of the Deadliest podcast. I'm your host today, Craig Taylor, joined by my co-hosts,
Matt Davis, representing the KGB in my white tuxedo t-shirt.
Yes, and...
Dun, 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 dun. I'm Lucas, representing the CIA. We're supposed to disappear out of frame.
and joining...
In a black tuxedo t-shirt.
Yes.
Three-piece suit.
Badass in a three-piece suit.
We'll get to that. and joining us from Classified.
Yeah, undisclosed location.
We have our guest.
Dan.
Yes, Deadliest Warrior podcast alum, representing the CIA. Dan, how you doing
Glad
today?
to be back. Glad to be back so soon.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
So, I think we should address elephant in the room in case the vibes are off. This is our second attempt recording this podcast.
We have never had to record a podcast over again. This was our first experience because we got a new camera, which we do love, but we're still working out the kinks with it, and all sorts of shit went wrong. It was like,
I was always wondering when this would happen.
Yeah. The camera kept shutting off, and we were trying to figure out how to turn off the auto shut off system. And then when we finally got it working, we realized Craig's mic was off the entire time, and that we hadn't been recording Dan's screen.
Yeah,
so it was like, maybe the camera bailed us out.
Check. Mic, check.
Yeah, so
yeah, we don't have Brendan today. He's fine. He just had like something he had to get to, and so we have Lucas as the disc jockey today, and it's all over the place.
right. So we're gonna some of these jokes are really funny, so we're gonna be telling them a second time.
That was even funnier a second time.
Yeah.
I'm actually not that worried because, like I was telling you guys, this is probably to the relief of our audience, the episode I took the least amount of notes on.
And the episode where America gets its revenge for Green Beret versus Spetsnaz.
Great. Now they know the ending. So
Stay tuned to see who wins.
Spoilers.
all right. So let's get into the descriptions. The show calls the CIA America's elite corps of espionage artists fighting an undercover war around the globe, versus the KGB, Communist Russia's secret police whose reign of terror left nations marred with blood. So, gentlemen, I want to ask, how do we feel about these quotes? Let's start with you, Matt, again.
Yeah, you're right. So, the good news is I'm able to summarize my thoughts a little bit better this time around. So I guess these quotes are really starting right off the bat to paint the narrative that they want to paint with this matchup. Like, that the KGB are these brutes and that they are the aggressors, and that the CIA are more precise, more calculated, and that at the end of the day it's Rocky versus Ivan Drago, right?
Rocky 4.
Yeah.
The best one.
It is the good guy Americans versus the bad communist Russians. And I mean, look, the Soviet Union, the KGB, a lot of really bad stuff went down. I would certainly rather live in 60s, 70s United States than 60s, 70s Soviet Union. But the CIA has quite a bit of dirt on their hands as well. Anything that the KGB was getting into, the CIA got into it too, and more, because they're still around today. So,
well, I got a question for Matt.
Okay.
How do you feel that the KGB got their ass kicked by Cryptosporidium 138 and destroy all humans too?
I didn't see this comment coming. Well, if I had answered that question before, I would answer it with the following, that I'm okay with it because I am Cryptosporidium in those games.
Hey, Matt, do you know what Cryptosporidium is?
No, please.
It's the parasite that gives you diarrhea.
Whoa.
It's crazy.
That's wild. But I still got to date the Russian lady. So,
yeah, we can move on.
Okay.
I bet you 11-year-old me probably thought she was really hot, and if I Googled her now, it's like a really bad, like low-res graphic.
How did this bit drag on longer than the first time?
Yeah. Well, again, not to get off topic, but Matt, like, there's some characters that, like, it doesn't matter what they look like. You can tell they're hot. Like Bastila.
Sure.
Like, you can't really jerk it to Bastila and KOTOR, but you know she's super hot.
Yeah. I don't know if I agree with that full statement, but I definitely agree with the latter part of it.
Okay.
All right, moving on.
Moving on. So let's keep it moving.
The alphabet boys. Let's go.
Yeah. So when they're going to introing the different, not experts, but hosts of this show, as always, we cut to Dorian. He's just stabbing a dummy in the back with a giant knife. And
It looks like a ballistic knife, actually.
yeah, appropriate. And
I bet you they did bring that out because we'll get into it later, Dan.
right. And I just wonder in universe, like, what is Dorian doing? Like, they clearly instructed him to stab this dummy for a cool shot, but in logic of the show, what is he doing? Just
Looking
there,
sick.
like, what do you think was gonna happen?
Extracurricular test.
Yeah. So that was funny. So let's get into the stats. So starting with the KGB, years active 1954 to 1991, height 5'10", weight 170 pounds, and missions are espionage and sabotage. So Matt, I want to ask you, what kind of operations were the KGB infamous for during the Cold War?
Well, obviously, the best operations of an intelligence agency are ones that you never hear about. But I suppose the KGB's most famous or infamous for, they mentioned in the show, stealing information on the atomic bomb. But Dan and I actually both did research on this guy. It actually was one particular agent who, he was an atomic scientist, and he actually helped contribute quite a bit of research to getting the bomb made. And he stole it from the British, I believe. He was arrested, but later got out of prison and was able to hop on over and become a citizen in East Germany. So there was that. They obviously worked to supply communist guerrillas in Vietnam, Korean forces in the Korean conflict, and the show also brings up the Soviet invasion of Afghanistan. Basically, like, when the atomic bomb came along, you had the two world superpowers that were sort of the United States and NATO, and then the Soviet Union and the Eastern Bloc. But because of nukes, they couldn't fight the way like these previous world wars had gone. So warfare became this Cold War, right? And so they would fight these proxy wars in Central America, Africa, the Middle East, like all over. And the show makes mention that the Soviets invade Afghanistan, KGB takes down Kabul in 24 hours, and the CIA then gives weapons to the Mujahideen so that they can counter Soviet forces. And I hope nothing bad comes of that, but nobody followed up on it apparently. But yeah, I mean, that's some of their more infamous stuff. They had a very, very vast network in Western Europe and the United States of spies, and that sort of led to the Red Scare Part 1 and the Red Scare Part 2.
Ever heard of it?
Yeah, in the United States. It was a big deal. So yeah, those are some of the more famous operations of the KGB. There was also one where Mikhail Gorbachev in the 90s was trying to transition the Soviet government away from, or at least the KGB felt he was transitioning too far away from the traditional communist structure. So there was an attempted coup to overthrow him that ended up failing. But the KGB, once the Soviet Union fell, became the FSB, which exists today. And the most famous former KGB agent, I'll close out with this, you may have heard of him, a man named Vladimir Putin.
Dun dun.
Lucas, you missed the ever heard of him?
Ever heard of him?
I prefaced it,
Yeah.
Ever heard of him? Craig, put a picture of Vladimir Putin up on the screen so people can... Just like a half a second flash.
So CIA reign of terror. I mean, years active, 1947 to present. Height 5'11", weight 180 pounds.
Crucial stats in
Yeah.
this one.
The height, that's funny. The height and weight stats never meant less. Missions, covert and paramilitary ops. Lucas, I want to ask you, what are the differences between the CIA and FBI? As a layman who doesn't know.
Well, I recently learned about this, but I'm going to transfer it over to Dan so he can explain it better.
Right. Maybe you'll do your homework next time. So the difference between the CIA and the FBI is that the CIA is the foreign covert intelligence branch of the U.S., so they're focused on human intelligence activities abroad, whereas the FBI is focused on countering those threats coming from other nations. So the FBI is continental U.S., and the CIA is OCONUS, as you would say.
They're what?
OCONUS.
Out of the continental United States. Sorry, military jargon.
Yeah. Dan, do you want to give us some background on your experience as an undercover operative in a foreign nation?
Right, so I had the pleasure of working at the Office of Naval Intelligence, or ONI.
Or so he says.
Huh?
Supposedly. Supposedly.
Which would also happen to be the perfect cover for where I really work.
Yeah.
Anyways, so ONI is also the oldest intelligence agency in the United States. Fun fact. But we'll see also that our CIA expert, Frank Dowse, who worked at DIA, is essentially the overhead owners of ONI.
Wow, so he was your boss at one point. You didn't even know.
Yeah, Frank Dowse.
Yeah, his
I've been to his office a couple times.
Speaking of O&I, his Newman boss.
I was going to say, Craig, are you going to bring up again that Oni, most famous for its appearance in Halo 3 ODST?
Yeah, when I was there, it was led by a guy named Admiral Hood.
Yeah. Lord Hood.
Hear that alarm?
Lord
That's the
Hood.
joke dying on arrival. Because it was told twice. There's the ambulance outside for the joke.
No, it'll get a lot smoother when we reached our last recording point.
Yeah.
Now, I actually know for a fact that Lucas has some CIA history written down as well.
Hey, boys, who wants to hear about the CIA? Did you know stands for Central Intelligence Agency? Or informally known as the agency. All right, I'm going to slam through some history on the CIA again here. They are a civil foreign intelligence service of the federal government of the United States, officially tasked with gathering, processing, and analyzing national security information from around the world through the use of human intelligence. They report to the Director of National Intelligence and are primarily focused on providing intelligence for the President and the Cabinet of the United States. So, a little bit before the show brings them in 1942, Franklin D. Roosevelt authorized the creation of an intelligence service modeled after the British Secret Service M16.
MI6?
I had to come up with a new mistake for it this
yeah.
time. I called it M16 the first time because of a typo. So,
Allegedly.
supposedly. So the group was then formed by President Harry S. Truman by presidential directive on January 22nd in 1946, but officially transformed into what is the CIA by the implementation of the National Security Act of 1947.
Did
so
you get
their
what
headquarters,
that original organization was called?
Security Service.
The OSS?
The Office of, yes.
You don't even fucking know.
Cut that out.
You know how I know? You know how I know is that Steve Rogers. Steve
Yeah,
Rogers
it's
worked
Office
with
of
the
Strategic
OSS.
Services, right? Yeah.
I don't know.
Dan's like,
Yeah.
you know what it was originally called? Neither do I.
They were the precursors to the Shield agents, headed
Dude,
by
I'm
Samuel L. Jackson.
all fucked up right now.
So, the CIA has their headquarters in Langley, Virginia, supposedly.
Yeah.
As you'd seen on American Dad. Shout out Seth MacFarlane, come on the pod.
A friend of the show.
Yeah. come on and sign me on for A Million Ways to Die in the West too. So there are approximately 21,000 employees with an annual budget of $15 billion. And they currently have 6 top priorities. That is counterterrorism, non-proliferation of nuclear and other weapons of mass destruction, warning and informing American leaders of important overseas events, counterintelligence, cyber intelligence. And then you'll say, Lucas, that's only 5. What's the 6th? It's kicking Matt's ass.
Yeah. Well, you know, I'm here to cast aside the veil and reveal the truth to the American people.
So the CIA established a university in 2002 where you can get trained to join the ranks. Upon graduation, there's at least one classified training area at Camp Perry, and then they are sent to Warrenton Training Center, which has trained the CIA operatives since '55.
I majored in CIA.
No, not Camp Perry, Ohio.
Not Camp Perry, Ohio.
Camp Perry, Virginia. Yeah, interesting.
So the show focuses on the Cold War era CIA just because that's when the KGB was most relevant as well.
Max gives the exact date. He says this takes place in 1979. So.
Smack dab. That's some good Cold War era time right there. So there's tons of books written about them, the operations that were declassified.
Right in the veins, baby.
That were declassified. So I encourage reading them if you'd like.
That Cold War hit different.
So something I found interesting about this era, their initial track record was looked at as very poor. They were unable to provide sufficient intelligence about the Soviet takeovers of Romania and Czechoslovakia. They were unable to...
Initially. now it's good. Nothing but dubs.
Nothing but net. They failed to provide sufficient intelligence on the Soviet blockade of Berlin and the Soviet atomic bomb project. They were, however, involved in anti-communist activities in Burma, Congo, Guatemala, and Laos is where they got their starts. The first notable victory is when they successfully influenced the 1948 Italian election in favor of the Christian Democrats. So nothing but net on that one.
Strong work by the CIA. We love going into these countries that elect they democratically elect leaders, and the CIA is like, nope. So we're gonna focus on the Cold War era. They've been in pretty much every conflict since then, but we'll wrap it there. One thing I did want to point out is we get our first woman warriors. Yes.
In this episode. And so I did want to look up if the CIA actually employed women essentially out the gate. So the first woman to join the CIA was Virginia Hall. Code names were Marie and Diane. Apparently she used both. And she previously worked in American intelligence agencies in Europe during World War II. And it was after World War II that she was officially hired for the Special Activities Division of the CIA in 1947 and was one of the first women. So today, does this continue? One website said 17.8% and another said 39% of the CIA are women. so I guess that information is classified. However, what is not classified is the director of the CIA is in fact a woman, and for the first time in history, I think as of 2019 or 2020, all 5 branches of the CIA are headed by women. So
nice.
Little fun fact for
girls
you.
Get it done.
Yeah.
Yep. For some of the CIA's biggest successes, go into a private browser and Google Operation Gladio and Operation Paperclip. So
Operation Cyclone.
Yep. Some of the better stuff that they did.
The greatest hits.
Yeah.
So we'll just move right along.
Right. Yeah.
To a little aside. With Max's computer screen, we get a great fake shot of Max's computer because you kind of see hints of this, and it's sort of far away, but this is a great up close of like what the show presented the sim as. So some highlights of the, his computer, quote unquote. The program itself is called Deadliest Warrior Simulator 2.0 because it's season 2.
I will say, like, Max in his Reddit AMA said, like, for season 2, because they would always show that footage of him on Excel in season 1. So for season 2, they made like a CGI computer graphic. So that's what this is, I guess. So it is interesting to see some of the little details they put on it.
I heard they upgraded from WWE 19 to WWE 20.
Yeah, in 2011 or whatever. So there's a center graphic called the battle simulation with like a 15-on-15 matchup where each of the sides is slowly going down, and there's apparently partial body damage because like the dummies are like discolored slightly, I guess, where there's like a hit. There's like, it's like incomprehensible because you have like these different bodies just like, trying to show you real time what's happening on this 15-on-15 matchup. So there's a variable slider with the letters A through G just in random positions. They're variable, so you can't know what those are. And then there's a window for the simulation results where the kill percentages just jump all over the place, and there are quote unquote blocks which are also tracked, which is a concept that's never explained on the show. There's also something called the causal chain, which I'd like to imagine was something they just fabricated. It's like, what sounds computer sciencey about the causal chain?
Is that chain causal?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you
chain
can you read what's on the causal chain? Like, can you make it out?
Oh yeah, I would love to. So,
as a matter of fact,
was that a genuine question? You're just trying to lay up me?
Oh, just because it's like a little fuzzy on my screen. I was wondering if you could actually make it out.
I think there's a second one where it's clearer. So
Right.
The causal chain, first you see copyright of Slytherin Strategies, 2009. Then you see Loading Warriors, ... Done. Auto rematch is in the off position, which means that in universe, Max sits there, manually simulates each of the 1,000 battles. Now he could do auto battle, but he decided just not to.
Yeah.
So, and I recommend checking out the other stuff just to find all the nonsense. And Dan, you also noticed something about his monitor.
Right. I would actually point out two. One's a serious one. The other one is a joke. But in the causal chain, you could see weapon set is numbered at like 6300, number 73. I wonder if that's like them testing out what weapons they want to end up with, but that's giving it way too much credit because it's a fake graphic.
Yeah, I think it's a fake graphic that's meant to encompass like every episode they're going to film, basically.
Yeah, and I just love how the stat attributes are like strength, endurance, agility, and speed, which means that this is probably closely resembling Oblivion.
Yeah, and you also notice, Dan, the tape in the four corners. Because they obviously taped like a green screen or a blue screen onto the monitor so that they could superimpose the CGI.
Put all the fake data.
Yeah. Which I thought was funny because like if we had to do a shot like that, that's how we'd do it.
Yeah.
Senior games would like tape a green sheet on a computer screen.
A wise man once told me, garbage in, garbage out.
Yep.
At first I thought like the red square in the corner was just like the X to quit the program, but then I was like, why are there four?
Yeah.
And then upon closer analysis, you
Give
can
Max
clearly
more
see
options.
its tape.
Close the sim. So moving on to the experts, we have first Pavel Ksens, to pronounce that right the second time.
The KGB experts just look like those kids you didn't want to talk to in high school.
Yeah.
And if you got stuck on a school project with them, you would just hear about Mother Russia the whole time.
Hate it when that used to happen. Before you get any experts, can I do my Matt's movie segment? Only because a lot of the experts are in one of my suggestions.
Oh, really?
Yes. Yeah, right. Yeah.
That's crazy.
You may not know that. You may or may not have heard that before. So one thing I learned when trying to pick out the best spy movie to watch is that we love our spy movies, folks. There are an endless amount of spy movies and TV shows. I mean, there was even a freaking Marvel movie a couple years ago that had the KGB in it, with like what's her name, Black Widow. Yeah. KGB's in that, CIA showing up and everything. So even if you whittle it down, like take James Bond out and whittle it down to like CIA and KGB, it's like there's still a million things. So I do have a couple suggestions, but I would like for anybody watching this, write in the comments down below, let us know your favorite, like one minimum, three maximum. All right. Top 3, top 1, top 2 even. Leave this in. Spy movies. Your favorite spy movies, especially if it's KGB or CIA related.
I gotta go first. Ooh. Johnny English and Johnny English 2.
I was going to say, was it a part 2? And my suggestions before we get into experts, for the KGB, I would highly recommend the TV show The Americans, FX's The Americans. It's really good. And if you have Amazon Prime, you can watch it for free. And
Featuring an expert.
yes, featuring, I think, like a couple of experts that we see on this episode. So, and then for
the CIA, do you mind?
yeah, go ahead.
Oliver Stone's JFK.
For the CIA, I recommend Oliver Stone's JFK, just like Craig does, for no particular reason. Okay.
Yeah.
Moving on. Tell us about them experts, Craig.
Okay.
They look like the kids in school.
Crap. Now I got a target in my back. Matt's going to take one of my expert jokes in retaliation. So let's start off with Pavel Ksens. Did I pronounce that right? KGB operator descendant, which... I mean, if we're talking about a warrior that is from like the 20th century, I don't think it's fair to. Can we like throw out the term descendant from like a description? Like, they say that he was a former paratrooper whose grandfather served in the KGB, and I feel like if you have the opportunity to meet this relative of yours, you cannot call yourself a descendant. Like, in the literal sense, it's true, but.
They use that specific word for mafia and yakuza too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They just love that word.
Yeah,
It makes it sound like you're an expert.
Sounds
or
so
whatever,
official.
you know? Yeah.
Yeah.
Instead of just being like, yeah, I didn't do that, but my dad.
so it basically makes me a KGB agent.
I'm a pizza shop descendant. Shop owner descendant. It's like, who the fuck cares? Okay. So for some research, I did find a LinkedIn page with someone with the same name. There's no picture, and Deadliest Warrior is not credited. However, it mentions he's fluent in English, Russian, and Ukrainian. It says he served in the Army and is now a registered nurse. And he also worked as a private security agent. I did find a picture on a different site of someone with the same name that is a nurse. And last recording, I did show you a picture, so I won't show you again, but I will put it on the screen.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Looks undercover to me.
yeah, he's wearing a mask, but it kind of looks like
Yeah,
him.
we just blew his cover.
Yeah.
And CIA's coming to get him now.
By going on LinkedIn. So
So we don't have to dwell on this long, but when they're introducing Pavel, what is that like staff he's using to beat the mannequin?
It's a stick.
Yeah, the KGB stick.
yeah. KGB will, they operate with anything that's in their environment.
Yep.
So pretty sure this is him. I also found a 100 pixel video of him performing a clean and jerk from 2011. And was not long after this episode aired, but also kind of looks like him. And it's one of the worst quality videos I've ever seen. So not his fault, but it was 2011. Then moving on to Stas Clausen, who you could call him probably the...
Sounds like a Star Wars character.
That's funny.
Thank you.
Probably you call him the class clown of the episode. They say he's, quote, former Russian military, and he was a former officer in the Russian army, they say. And he gets introduced to us by him absolutely beating the fuck out of a dummy. He has this funny face while he's doing it. It's awesome. In my research, I found out he's an actor. He actually played Vladimir Putin in The Comey Rule. And he has a lot of acting credits and usually plays some Russian goon in most of his acting, including on The Americans. So,
Yeah. Shout out. Good show. Check it out.
Definitely rewatch for the editing, because when they're demonstrating like the system of fighting, he clearly misses with his kicks, and it's very obvious.
like when he's fighting who? Like the with the boot?
It's in the
or-
beginning when they're introducing Stas. There's like the fight scene where he does like the double kick on the guy. He just like goes right past his head.
I'll put it in for sure. I didn't say anything about him being in the military, which makes me think that it was probably just made up because they already had one like descendant and they couldn't find a real KGB, so they had to make something up to make it seem more authentic.
Former KGB officer and current president of Russia, Vladimir Putin.
Vladimir Putin
shows up on Deadliest. Now, unfortunately, we had to give the win to the KGB this time around.
Jeff would be like in love with Vlad. He'd be like, yo, Vlad.
If they had Putin as the expert, that would be the most awkward episode ever. You get the narrator, Edge Novichok.
So, moving on. Get to Mike Baker, former CIA agent, a 15-year veteran of the CIA from around the globe. And I put in my notes here before I actually researched that I was dreading trying to find information on someone with the name Mike Baker. However, it was actually the first thing that popped up when I searched him, which was really interesting. He's extremely easy to find, and he is a regular GRE guest, Joe Rogan Experience.
Yeah.
So on the GRE database, which I found researching this, a lot of helpful stats.
Friend of the show, Joe Rogan.
Yes.
You know. He's gonna.
Well, maybe not.
Right. Yeah. His sub count's gonna go up now that we gave him a shout out. So.
Yeah.
He is a great guest on the podcast for whenever Joe wants to get into weird fringe shit. Like the last one I remember with Mike Baker was like the UFO stuff.
yeah, because you've probably seen a clip with him on it and did not realize there was a Deadliest Warrior guy.
I tell you what, being a guy who worked in the CIA and then just goes on podcasts must be the best gig ever, because you can just make up whatever the hell you want, because you don't have to give names. You can say like you're under contract, or I vaguely remember, but it's like, all I know is Obama looked at me and he said, let me be clear, you can't go in there. There's an alien in there. and Joe's like, what?
And Joe's like, yeah, so me and Obama were at the Black House, which is off the grid.
Yeah, right. Yeah, the secret White House, the Black House.
Yeah.
It's in the Stranger Things upside down world.
For the record, I told that joke before I realized you said Obama. It sounded really bad.
That's kind of why I had to explain the joke. I was like, I want to make sure our audience understands.
Like, where's he going with this? I'm going to buckle up and see.
I promise. That was a slip of the tongue, because black is the opposite of white.
Right, yes.
Not sure where you were going with that.
Craig, when you're editing this, cut this out.
Leave it in.
I think my white guilt is making me gonna keep it in, so there's a record of my crimes. Okay. So yeah, he's ranked actually 17th most common JRE guest with 13 appearances, which is ranked above the likes of Dr. Rhonda Patrick and Tim Dillon, which, if you're a JRE fan, is pretty high praise in terms of appearances. So
I think his most recent one was in February. He was on.
Yeah, he was talking about, I think, the Russia-Ukraine stuff.
Right.
So he was actually smoking a cigar on that episode, I believe.
Ooh, watch out.
An explosive cigar?
Yeah, I was like, watch out, watch what you're smoking. Yeah. He has his own show on Discovery Plus called The Black Files Declassified. So, which sounds like a...
racism.
Careful with that click.
They filmed that at the Black House.
This is supposed to be the good cut. I did browse his Twitter, where he is active, and I did see him share a GIF of him from a couple of weeks ago of him being on the Aftermath, which was nice. Although I also saw tweets from him asking why people weren't more mad about the Roe v. Wade decision getting leaked than the decision itself, which is...
well,
yeah, I don't think I can really explain that one. And then he also is an Elon Musk simp. So he regularly will dunk on people trying to dunk on Elon Musk, and will tag Elon Musk in the hopes that he gets a retweet from
that Elon will buy him a horse, hopefully.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
Supposedly.
You think Mike Baker would give Elon Musk an erotic massage?
Supposedly.
Yeah. So, moving on.
Wait, fun fact about our boy Mike. He is actually from England. So he's so deep undercover that he's just been living his American life. And on his deathbed, he'll reveal he's actually been a triple agent.
Wow. That's wild.
Let me do this one. Mike Baker.
No, I'm Mike Baker. In
As-
it.
We're almost back to where we got the footage.
Yeah.
so
Right.
The
I
bullshit's
was just
gonna end.
thinking about that.
Okay. Frank Dowse. Let's blow through this. So he's former defense intelligence, a former Marine who served in the Defense Intelligence Agency, the military counterpart to the CIA. Dan, you want to explain a little bit about what that means and kind of if you did something similar with ONI?
Why, yes, I will explain. So DIA is the military's specific all-source intelligence branch, and the difference between DIA and the CIA is that CIA is focused on human intelligence, and
Sorry.
God damn,
It's only one letter part.
it just feels so awkward stepping on my own toes, you know.
Yeah.
But CIA is focused on human intelligence, whereas DIA is focused on all-source intelligence, where their main customer is the United States military.
Why do they like abbreviate all this shit in the military? Like, if you hear two military people talk, it's so fucking annoying trying to find out what they're trying to say. You notice that, Dan?
No.
I think
Dan, don't you mean?
See, when I was in, I got annoyed by all the abbreviations because I was like, I have no idea what the hell you're saying. Like, just tell me, just speak English.
Yeah.
Acronyms give the illusion of efficiency, but it's really just annoying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like that's true with any job. Like, if you get like some dude like, well, we had an AT5 in the 3-4. It's like,
If you think CIA is bad, KGB doesn't even correspond with the words in
oh
it.
my God.
You know,
That was the joke you got from me. So, Frank Dowse. So the man,
Yeah.
the
guy that looks like vaguely like Tony Soprano.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
So research showed he was in the Marines. He was interviewed by various news organizations over the past few years. I said I think he might be dead because I didn't see anything about him past 2014-15. And his appearance on Deadliest Warrior was the only image I saw of him in high definition, which sort of made me think that he might be dead. But
I've seen stuff in the past, but I couldn't find anything verifying if he was alive or not.
Yeah.
Hey, Frank, if you're out there and watching this, leave a comment. And if you lie to me and you say, oh, I'm Frank Dowse and my favorite spy movie is this, listen.
Is Master of Disguises.
my name's Frank Dowse. I'm alive. Johnny English too.
So, yeah, Deadliest Warrior gives some history on the CIA's founding, claiming it was mainly in response to the Soviet nuclear program. Then says that the Soviets wait, I fucked this up on the
Yeah, you did,
recording
yeah.
too. So the KGB stands for the Committee for State Security, which it's not even what KGB, it's not even the same letters. So to advance Soviet interests in the Cold War in 1954. Pavel claims that at one point half of the people at the Russian embassy in the U.S. were KGB agents. We then get some more history of the KGB takeover of Kabul in less than 24 hours. Again, something that the CIA would never do. Also note that the CIA's training of the Mujahideen to fight back against the Soviets, which I'm honestly surprised that they include.
Yeah.
I guess they figured their audience isn't going to connect the dots, maybe.
That was Operation Cyclone is the name of that if you want to look it up.
Yep.
She moves her body like a cyclone.
I was thinking that. And then, of course, we get some more sweet reuse of that Green Beret versus Spetsnaz episode with the fucking truck exploding.
That best shot.
It's like anytime there's brown people on an episode, they have to like, all right, go back to the Green Beret footage.
That and they abuse my favorite sound effect from this episode. They rip it straight from GoldenEye 007, the pew 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 sound effect for the silenced guns.
the silenced scorpion. Yeah.
Right. So, terms of who's siding with what, Max sides with the KGB because they, quote, have less respect for human life, unlike the CIA. And that Jeff says that the CIA are, quote, badasses in a three-piece suit with a college education, which is officially my new Tinder bio.
Dan, in our initial footage that is lost to the world, You did mention that the stand-in or the model they use for the CIA, you said he reminded you of a Big Bang Theory character.
Right, yeah.
And
or like a Whitest Kids You Know.
yeah, and
stand-in.
then we kind of connected the dots and we were like, he looks like Report of the Week.
Yeah.
The guy that like wears the suit and tries the fast food stuff.
The
His
stat
channel's
intro.
gonna grow now too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You could line up all the experts from season 2 and like say, can you point to the CIA experts, and boom,
Yeah,
like, they're right there. They're just like, they just look like CIA.
Yeah.
All right. So finally, we made it. We're back to where we started. No more bullshit. This is all new material.
I'm gonna check the camera real quick.
Okay. We're not laughing at the same jokes that we already told. No.
Movie recording has been stopped automatically.
Guys, I can't. I fucking can't.
All right, moving on to short range.
Wait,
Yeah.
can I just get some more water before we start again?
Yeah.
It'll
go
be
ahead.
like a minute.
Yeah.
But no, I'm gonna
God
need water
damn it.
first.
Welcome everybody to the third recording of. Okay, moving on to short range, long range.
They call it long range on the show.
Yeah.
Long range.
Yes. We got.
Relative to the other weapons, I mean, it's
Yes.
the long range.
Yeah,
weapon.
but do you think like spies maybe should have gave him like a PSG like sniper or something cool? Instead of long range.
Somebody's been playing too much Hitman.
Yeah.
No.
So we got the MAC-10. Stats are range of 55 yards, 45 caliber ammo, 30 round mag, and 300 rounds per minute.
900. Yeah.
I wrote 900. I said 300. Probably the biggest error on this episode so far.
Craig's blacking out.
Yeah. So I want to ask, why was this gun so readily adopted by criminal organizations, as the show claims?
So, the MAC-10 was made by the Military Armament Corporation, and
Is that why it's in MAC?
that is, it's the Model 10. Yeah. So it's compact blowback. I'm going to get to your question in a minute. I'm just going to deliver a little bit of background first.
Not what I asked.
It is a compact blowback off-rated machine pistol that was developed by Gordon B. Ingram in 1964 and can be chambered in 45 ACP or 9mm. Many people confuse this with the MAC-11, which was chambered in 380 APC. They were produced from 1970 to 1973, and the company stopped producing firearms in 1973 and filed for bankruptcy in 75. The show actually undersells the rate of fire. It was closer to 1100 with 45 ACP, and a two-stage suppressor by Psionics was developed for the MAC-10, which used in conjunction abates the noise created and allows for much easier control on full auto. So getting into how this became like an iconic gun for criminals, despite what they say on the show, the weapon sometimes had very poor precision, and the International Association of Police Chiefs weapon researcher David Steele described the MAC series as fit for only combat in a phone booth. So it was kind of introduced as this weapon for use by special forces and like for military use, and no one kind of liked this, so they just kind of sat and no one really wanted them, so they kind of sold them off. You could still buy one today for like $5,000 if you have that sitting around. It seems opinions are very mixed of people who've actually fired it. It kind of received a resurgence with Hollywood directors favoring this, and that's where it kind of gets a little bit of its criminal image from, is from Hollywood movies.
And Warzone. Remember, it was like the best gun in Warzone?
And Warzone, not in real life, but and video games, as it has almost like a cult status of a gun now, but it was only produced for like 3 years. And
I think the selling point is just that you can send 30 45 caliber rounds at like 1100 rounds a minute. So yeah, it's probably hard to hit anybody out to any distance, but like if you're across the room from somebody with that thing, like that's some serious lead you're throwing.
Oh yeah, but it just had a little bit of issues with its actual functionality.
Sure.
And it was marketed as something that was concealable, but when you put that suppressor on it, it's really not that concealable anymore.
It's a bit chunky.
We'll get to that.
Yeah. So I could find nothing directly relating to the CIA using MAC-10s besides the Deadliest Warrior wiki. So I do not think they actually use these, but the closest I could find was that it was employed by various special forces in like around the 1970 era, but that could be anything.
Yeah.
Anything to add, Dan?
Yeah, I can touch on a few things. First off, if you are interested in the MAC-10, Forgotten Weapons has a great episode on it. Did you happen to look at that?
No, I didn't watch it. I was busy watching the Forgotten Weapons on the Scorpion.
No, that's fair.
I watched
Good channel, by the way. Good
instead
channel
of
if
watching
you're a
that,
gun nerd.
I watched someone fire a MAC-10 in their backyard on YouTube.
The Ian gives a little more details on his channel. They go through like the 3 variants of the MAC-10, the 45 caliber, the 9mm, and there was a third version. I forget. It began with a 3. I'm not good with calibers.
Probably 380 or whatever.
Yeah, the MAC-11 was 380.
380, yeah. So the important thing about all those rounds is they were designed to be subsonic. Like you originally had a 9mm version, but they were waiting for the ammo type to catch up so they could have a subsonic 9mm. And that's so it can work well with the suppressor and be usable for covert ops. Interestingly, the company that made it, Military Armament Corp, it was picked out in that company by an ex-OSS operative. So I'm going to redeem myself with Office of Strategic Services. So he was a former agent, and he picked out the MAC-10 because he thought it would be a great choice for covert operations in Vietnam. And that's where it saw most of its popularity, if any, as Lucas kind of touched on. Deadliest Warrior does point out that you have a lack of room in the front for your fingers, and that's like why the suppressor was supposed to be co-opted with it. Like it was a package deal. You weren't really supposed to use that with like dangling your fingers in front of the barrel. So, well, you see, Baker uses like the little fiber foregrip to keep his hands away, and that was a good method, but also the one you see in Call of Duty. But yeah, a lot of good stuff on the MAC-10.
Yeah, I'll point out that the ones they use in the test, they've done this before on the show. They fake the full auto. They have semi-auto versions, or at least they're firing in semi-auto, and they use the jumpy editing, and they add muzzle flashes, and then they put like a generic automatic fire sound effect. So probably so no one blew their finger off, with the MAC-10.
You know how much
the
they
sound
cost?
effect they use for the MAC-10 sounds like a duck farting. It's terrible.
Whenever they first came out, you could buy a MAC-10. Guess how much they cost? Unit cost.
$10.
Actually, more than that. It's actually
$200
more than I thought it would be now. It was $120,
Wow.
which is for like 1970s era though. That's not that
It's
much.
like $1 million.
That's
the
I mean, like
70s?
the Tommy gun cost $200 in 1930. So compared to 1970 costing $120, it's pretty cheap.
You know what kind of surprised me though? You look at the MAC-10. How much would you guess that thing weighs? Like the 45 caliber.
I actually wrote it down.
6.6 pounds or something.
So the heaviest variant with the suppressor is 8 pounds. So that's like as heavy as a rifle.
Mm-hmm. We'll get, as I said with the length, we'll get into that.
Yes. You hit record, right? On the camera?
I did hit record.
Okay, thank God.
The little
It's tough to
red.
tell.
You're paranoid now. Yeah. I did hit record. The little red guy's going.
Right up in the, okay.
I just wanted to make sure.
Say hi to the folks at home.
We've got a lot of issues, folks.
This isn't.
What'd you say, Dan?
I was just gonna say this is gonna be the longest episode we've ever recorded, but not intentionally.
So, went on to the Scorpion, and if you look at the graphic, they actually spelled Scorpion wrong. They spelled it with a K.
No, that's how it's spelled.
No, I know.
Yeah.
It's actually ML6, not M1 or ML or MI. Or
Yeah, so it's the Scorpion SMG 61. Stats range of 27 yards, which is like significantly shorter. Ammo 32 caliber, 20 round mag, 850 rounds per minute. And Stoss calls the gun sexy.
the fun fact about it: after 27 yards, the bullet stops dead and just drops.
Yeah, right. I found that stat to be a little odd. I guess some background on the Scorpion is I don't have much. It was designed by a guy with a very Russian-sounding name, and
Why is it called the Scorpion?
It was made by Igor Scorpion.
right. Yeah, that's how every other Russian. No, the creator's name was not Scorpion. I actually did not Google that because I didn't know if it was relevant or not. But so
It's probably just cool.
there is
It's the thing underneath. It looks like because that can fold. Isn't that like a scorpion tail?
probably leave it in the comments.
Yeah.
So the Scorpion, it's funny because it's made by the Czech company CZ, which actually makes a lot of decent firearms still to this day. And they made the CZ Scorpion spelled with a C, which is like a modern, much different.
The Scorpion Evo from Call of Duty.
Evo. Yeah. But this is the Scorpion with a K, VZ1 or SMG, or VZ61 or SMG 61. I don't know why they put the range at 27 yards because from what I saw, the range could go out to like 50 meters, which is like what I saw with the Mac 10. I saw somewhere claim 150 meters. That's probably a little bit generous.
Maybe not accurate.
Yeah.
The bullet will go that far, not where you want it.
Everything else was correct. I guess I noticed that when they do the Scorpion test, there's some CGI blood spurts added on the mannequins.
Yeah, we'll get to
Okay.
this, yeah.
Okay.
So
Why don't you get into it? Because I'm going to save the rest of my points, I guess, for the edge. In that, I just want to say, like, the Scorpion is a lot smaller and weighs a lot less than the Mac 10 does, and I think there's an argument to be made. I understand why they give it to the Mac 10, but I think there's an argument to be made in favor of the Scorpion for this situation. So,
right. So moving on to the test, KGB, they have to spray down a bar full of dummies in a drive-by. Did spy organizations commit drive-bys? I guess maybe.
Supposedly. I want the new shirt.
If you want
that
a
says supposedly.
good history fact for you, drive-bys for the intent to kill, not so much, but in the Cold War, especially in East Germany, it was pretty common for spies to just get abducted on the side of the road in a van. So there's some truth here, just not in the form of a drive-by shooting.
Did they ever jump out with a flamethrower and go?
Yeah, so this fake, even I could tell, is like super fake for some reason. I assume safety. As Matt alluded to, there's like a comically bad fake CG blood effect of the dummy, which I guess they missed a good tight shot of them hitting the dummy. So for like visual variety, they do this really bad edit.
yeah.
Stoss is near the end of the test, standing there aiming the gun, and the muzzle flash is going, but there's zero recoil. So he's like, like as the gun's like going off and stuff. So he's supposed to be an actor.
Why would they ever fake that?
That's a good question. So they do the test, and then Max asks if the CIA can do better, and Mike says, "You know what? In a word, yes." Which is right before the commercial break.
Thanks,
so,
Mike.
Which was more words than if he had just said yes.
yeah, right. So, in a quick aside, the experts mentioned that the CIA need approval for all of their missions, which holds them back, versus the KGB, who could kill with impunity. Okay, back to the test. So, the CIA performs a test, and Max goes, friend of the show goes, "Star Spangled Ma'am."
So he starts it by going 3, 2, 1, hammer down.
Oh, yeah.
And then says,
Star Spangled My Banner. These boys pulled it off.
"Star Spangled My Banner."
These boys pulled it off. My thing fucked up and it tripped me
Shout
up.
out, Max.
I don't know if we have it in this take, but I did want to mention that I was watching this episode with Kelly, and this was her first episode of Deadliest Warrior ever. And Max's one-liners were on point for this to be your first episode.
Right.
Yeah.
This episode really does have it all, which I assume we may touch on in our
Yeah,
thesis.
it's a very funny episode.
Right.
I have an initial bitch about this test. Okay.
Lucas is the only one mad
Well,
about.
I want to mention real quick, and then we'll get into the edge before I tune out. Jeff is sick again, so either he's got a low immune system, or this is filmed like
Need some of that airborne
Back to
high
back.
C.
I did notice the voice crack.
But you're almost 8 seconds slower.
And later on, Max, which I'll point out when Max says pink eye
Yeah.
in one of the tests. So
Greg, you'll appreciate this. This isn't a gun bitch for once. Whenever the
hold on, my
KGB
mobile game
team
right now.
pulls up in their mystery machine, the door slides open and they're on the target side. Then for the CIA, they've put the van on the other side, so they make the CIA guys get out, run around the van. The door's on different sides for both of their
Ooh,
tests.
we got something for the aftermath.
And they have the fucking audacity to go, oh, the CIA guys, they took a little bit longer. Yeah, because the fucking door was on the opposite side.
They took 11 seconds longer, and it did not take them 11 seconds to hop out of the van and run around.
They're old guys, okay? They
Probably
need
took
time
them
to
like
get out.
2 seconds.
Can I say what I was gonna say for the aftermath? Or do
No.
we want to?
No. Although
save it.
you probably will get the opportunity, because I don't think I wrote anything about that, because
Yeah.
I don't really remember
You
it.
save
but
it for the aftermath.
Not a
segment,
fair
Dan.
test. The door should
I'll
have been on
probably
the same
I'll
side
probably
of the
forget
van.
about it, but
I will say, Lucas, you really do get behind whatever warrior you
Yeah,
are
it
representing.
does. It's
You
my job.
advocate. You're ready to defend them to the death. So, Edge Mac 10. What are you guys' thoughts?
Agree.
Yeah. So I do get where they're coming from in that it's a bigger bullet, higher rate of fire, bigger magazine. In a certain situation, I would definitely agree with it getting the edge, and that situation does probably apply to Deadliest Warrior, like just what's going to kill the quickest in a video game kind of sense. Just looking at it though, if this is spy on spy, wouldn't it be better to have a weapon that is more concealable, that's lighter weight? Because I just want to read the stats here. Like, the MAC-10 is, like Dan said, clocked in at like 8 pounds with the suppressor. And
it's chunkier than it looks.
and so with the suppressor and the stock extended, clocks in at 2 feet and 7.5 inches. So it's a beefy boy. It's a big square boy, and it's got the big 30 round magazine. The Scorpion, on the other hand, only weighs, and this is without the suppressor. I didn't get the stat with the suppressor, but without the suppressor, it's just shy of 3 pounds. So like already it's like MAC-10 without the suppressor is like 6.26. Scorpion's 2.87. So like there's already a significant weight difference, and with the stock fully extended, the Scorpion only clocks in at like 20.5 inches, like 20.4 inches. So like, and the suppressor would add a little bit of length to that, but it's still like, it's smaller, it's more concealable. You can fold it up like they show on there. And also the fact that it's got a smaller caliber means that it's going to be probably a little more controllable on full auto, I would say. I know, there's guys, if you're trained well with recoil, you can handle a bigger round. But if you're just an intelligence person, you would think you're not in like an open firefight gun battle like in the scenario on this show. You would think like you're probably getting the drop on a target, or you're just trying to get out of a situation. And I would think in either case, like having better controllability on your shots so that you're not like just spraying down a room full of people when you want to hit one guy might be an advantage. So I'm not necessarily arguing against the edge here. It probably is better for like 5-on-5 gunfight to have more rounds, better firepower. But for a spy weapon, I think there is an argument to be made that the Scorpion could be a better gun for just your average spy situation. I'm an expert in that.
Yeah.
So
when we get to it a little bit later, I'm going to cover it at a more appropriate point. But we'll learn why the CIA probably would not have used the MAC 10. Like, I feel like the MAC 11 would have almost been a better fit because with the 380 round. We'll learn why they didn't use these massive caliber. I feel like there had to be a Hollywood movie or something that like some spy guy used a MAC 10 and they're like, that's the CIA's gun. That's what he uses. And I'll cover it a little bit later, but they tended to favor like 22s.
yeah.
Like very small guns because you can get the same job done.
Yep.
Which for covert operations, yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And I
Because-
think this test,
Yeah. I'm sorry, Dan. I just want to say if you fire a subsonic 22 round out of just a regular rifle, it's pretty quiet,
Yeah.
especially with a
with a
silencer.
suppressor,
Yeah. I mean, it's very, very quiet. So that is why that's why they liked that
I
stuff.
mean, fire a 45 and a 22, no hearing protection. One's going to hurt, one you're going to go like,
yeah.
I don't want to do that again, but it didn't hurt.
Mhm.
and I think I'll save the thoughts I had for the aftermath stuff, but I think the big problem with this test in general is just the fact that if you're
The van's on the wrong side.
in the side of a van
On the wrong
hosing
side.
people down with a MAC 10, you're probably a pretty shit spy.
Taking into account what direction the doors open. So
It's unfair.
yeah. So let's move on to range. We have
It's the explosives, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Trying to do a little joke here.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Whatever. Sorry. What range is it, Matt?
It's the explosives.
Oh, thank you. So, aside from, there's an aside that mentions the KGB's Systema training and the CIA. If the CIA's operate in hostile environments. So,
Don't we all?
it's true. So it just mentions, I guess, like a little bit, not their official edge, but some of the stuff that would give them an edge.
X.
And yeah, well, it's sort of also like their training they're talking about. They mentioned the system and stuff. And then Mike says he's not going to talk about CIA training because he's a pussy.
We all sign documents that say we're not going to talk about sources and methods. We're not going to open our yaps and talk about things we're not supposed to talk about. And I honor that commitment very seriously.
He's like, I made a commitment. I'm going to honor that. It's like, dude, shut the fuck up. It's not that serious. You go on Joe Rogan and talk about
like UFOs.
yeah. So let's take it to the exploding cigar.
Hold on real quick. Let me, security clearances are real and they're serious. Let me erase this line that I wrote.
I don't want to be called a nerd.
It's like, I honor that commitment. Oh, bravo. Let's get a round of applause for Mike Baker for honoring his fucking commitment to not talk about how many miles you got to run to join the CIA.
Is there a more impartial host here?
Sorry, I didn't mean to.
CIA.
Okay. So exploding cigar. Stats, if you've never seen a cigar, this is going to be really informative. It's 5 inches long, 1 ounce. Just like, why fucking bother? Like,
Did you ever think in your life you'd see a stat card for a cigar?
yeah. Well, actually, a regular cigar is 0.9 ounces. So someone like Fidel Castro can tell the difference between.
Yeah.
That's a little heavy. It smells like Semtex.
It's a heat activated and a C4 explosive. And in the B-roll for the exploding cigar, we spotted this in our viewing. 99% sure that he had a little cameo from series producer Gary Tarpinian. So he smokes a cigar and he blows his head. At first, I was going to make a Walter White joke, but then I realized it was Gary.
Yeah.
So shout out. Anything on the exploding cigar?
I'm gonna ask for like my 2 minutes. This is my next biggest. I've been waiting all of season 2 for this because of the wording of the show.
I do like that they're like the exploding cigar, infamous for when the CIA tried to kill Fidel Castro for like 70 years and couldn't pull it off.
There was like 600 attempts and he died naturally. You mean death wrapped in a Cuban? So the show covers the Cuban Missile Crisis and standoff with Fidel Castro. I think our history teacher told us that history repeats itself. This weapon is a fucking joke. Are you serious? So When you actually Google exploding cigar, it actually shows up on Wikipedia, which was pretty crazy to me because I expected nothing. So they're normally packed with a minute chemical explosive charge near the lighting end with a non-chemical device that ruptures the cigar when exposed to heat. This is known as a loaded cigar and customary intended for the purpose of a practical joke.
a loaded cigar. I hand you a Swisher Sweet out of a pack. Careful, it's loaded.
So here's my grievance relievance. They say that there's a small amount of thermite used to ignite the C4. Thermite is notably hard to light and burns extremely hot. And C4 cannot be ignited by any form of fire. Detonation can only be initiated by a shock wave. So that entire explanation and setup is fake. Thermite would not light, and if it did, it would not blow up C4. So
a decent, underrated character to main on Siege also. So thermite. Yeah.
So there was a famous case where they attempted to assassinate Fidel Castro. The other recorded incident was a prank exploding cigar was given by Ulysses S. Grant while hanging out with Ernest Hemingway.
All right.
Wait, what?
Ulysses S. Grant.
That picture like a Looney Tunes cartoon.
Apparently it was like a practical joke.
Looks at the camera, he's like,
that is straight up like a Bugs Bunny trick.
And contrary to the stats we're gonna see later, there is no recorded deaths in history from exploding cigars. There's a couple ER trips, but
so I do appreciate that you took the exploding cigar in like good faith and are arguing like this is a dumb weapon to give your guy. I appreciate that you did that because I usually take the show like super serious. When I saw like the exploding cigar and the fucking shoe knife, I was like, all right. So, because you're immediately hit with so much like, how would that ever work in this sim where a Viking fights a samurai with a sword? Like, how does it work? Where like, are they lighting the exploding cigar and throwing it at, like,
dude, it gets like an absurd amount of kills too. But the thing that just pissed me off the most was it's C4 that's ignited by thermite when you smoke. Fuck off.
Yeah. And I guess Craig can get into the test there.
Before we move on to the test, I just want to say for the viewers out there, exploding cigars aren't their only form of cigars that are dangerous. Regular cigars can cause lung cancer, which is one of the leading preventable causes of death in this country. So you don't need thermite to die from a cigar.
Yeah.
I mean, it's fair to say that no one would probably have ever been killed by an exploding cigar, but Baker does touch on how it was an effort to target his weaknesses, like Fidel Castro's vices.
Yeah, you're more likely to die from an actual cigar than a fucking exploding cigar. But they mentioned there's a little excerpt where they're like, this is the CIA failed to kill Fidel Castro with this. So this is a prototype, even though it's never killed anybody.
Even though he probably did die from smoking too much.
That's probably what
probably.
In the end.
But like we know that Fidel Castro. Well, we know we tried to kill him in a ridiculous, embarrassing number of ways. Yeah. But they were all targeted to his personality. So, like, we also tried to kill him with the assassin that Matt mentioned.
Well, that was in the lost footage cut of this.
Right.
The assassin who ended up falling in love with him and having sex with him.
Yeah. So that didn't work. We also tried to poison his shoes. We tried to get him with exploding seashells on the beach. There was also the Bay of Pigs. Ever heard of it? And probably more stuff that we've never heard of.
Operation Mongoose. Later potentially turned on a sitting U.S. president. Allegedly. Supposedly.
That was also Operation She Shells Down by the Seashore.
I mean, we never got him with a cigar bomb, but it did lead him. He was paranoid enough about it to kind of privatize his own cigar manufacturer.
I'll show him.
Well,
so grievance relievance 2 they do the world's fakest lighting effect on this cigar. And they go, you can smoke this thing for 3 minutes and 59 seconds and you're fine. It's got a 4-minute burn. Whenever you smoke a cigar, it just doesn't stay lit too. Like they hold it in the dummy's mouth and it's smoking itself. You gotta like inhale.
You have to keep inhaling it to put oxygen.
I hate this test.
Yeah.
I hate it. I hate it.
You smoke it for 3 minutes and 59 seconds, you're fine.
Because Greg, it was funny because like Greg and I don't know if I mentioned this already, but I hadn't watched this episode like since it came out, and when Craig and I sat down and rewatched it for the first time, we laughed through the whole freaking thing because I just was like, this, it's just gimmicky. I didn't take it seriously at all, and I just thought like, I just enjoyed it for what it was, and like the bad CGI, and it is so obvious. Like they light it, and they're all standing around it, and they're like,
Yeah.
and then they slowly walk away.
Yeah, so I guess get the test. Yeah, Jeff mentions that they added additional facial components to the gel to make it more like demo the damage. Which I mean, like, okay, they added a tongue for the cartel.
It's got teeth.
It's teeth, yeah.
He's got like little
So
teeth.
Frank lights the cigar for a 4-minute smoke, according to I think the narrator, and the crew walk as slowly as humanly possible. It's like, you know, like a trailing mission in a video game, like the person you're
stuck
trailing
behind
walks as slow as the engine will allow it, and that's how slow they walk.
They walk faster than your walk, but slower than your run. So you constantly have to run and then stop. And run.
Yeah, they walk even slower than that. So, and that's how you walk away from a lit explosive. That's definitely real. Yeah. So, funny moment that you might miss. When the cigar explodes, Jeff goes, "Yo!" And so we actually went back and forth, and I can't really tell. At first, we thought that maybe there was a charge hidden in the dummy's head.
Yeah.
But the more I look at it, I think it might be that legit that the explosive is in the cigar. It's tough to tell.
They probably had
either
it. Just a
way,
little
I mean, it's
like a little
definitely
button to set it
not
off.
Either way, it's
C4
tied
and
to a
thermite, but it could be like tannerite.
Maybe, yeah,
Just like a small little commercially available explosive that they usually use.
yeah, they have used before. Yep.
No, it was C4 ignited with thermite.
But yeah, I mean, it wouldn't be the first time they faked like an explosive on the show and just had it attached to a detonator.
What does this taste like a C4?
I'm still thinking about you saying you can smoke up for 3 minutes and 59 seconds and you're fine.
Honest question, would you rather have a sling than the exploding cigar? Like I'd rather,
Yeah.
You light the cigar, then... I hate this.
You gotta wait 3.5 minutes.
Yeah, can we get into a more legit weapon, Craig, that isn't made up?
Okay.
The dead drop spike.
But don't forget our favorite part of the episode that we got stuck on, where Jeff asked Stoss if he can do better, and Stoss says something that is so incomprehensible.
You think you can do better?
Sure. I can show you a weapon that will blow not only your head off, but your balls with hole inside.
We had to rewind it like 10 times because we're like, what the fuck did he just say?
I'm glad you caught that
He
too.
says something about like, I can blow not just their head off, but their balls too, or something like that. And we rewound it like 10 times and put subtitles on, and we were still like, what the
The
fuck?
subtitles just come up with a question mark.
You think you can do better?
Sure. I can show you a weapon that will blow not only your head off, but your balls with hole inside.
Parentheses speaks Russian.
What is Stoss saying?
He has a few English flubs throughout this episode.
I mean, look,
Well,
I
yeah.
can't really speak a language, so God bless him. You know, I'm sure he speaks
No, I don't
English better
blame
than I
him. It's
speak.
just it stands out.
Yeah, it was just a really funny moment for us.
Yeah. So, jet drop spike. Stats are 6 inches, 2 ounces, metal casing, and Semtex explosive.
Half a Johnny Sin.
Come on now. So, I gotta, Matt, is this real?
Okay, give me 1 second. Okay, so the dead drop spike. So this has the Deadliest Warrior curse. If you Google dead drop spike, KGB dead drop spike, this is the wiki you'll pull up, the Deadliest Warrior wiki. From what I could find, I could not find anything that replicated what they showed on here. Like, a dead drop is a very common espionage tool, and all a dead drop is you are placing information usually inside of something, and you're placing it in an area that you have arranged as a drop-off spot with a contact. So no one ever sees the two of you together. It can be something as simple as like taking camera film and like putting it in a container and setting it like in a trash can.
Dark Brotherhood and Oblivion communicates through dead drops.
Exactly. And
Reference in the stat screen of the simulation.
the coolest dead drop I saw that piqued my interest the most was there was some guys would they would wrap the information up
In a cigar?
No. So they would like dissect a rat, and then they would shove the information in a rat and sew it back up and then just place it in like an alleyway, so it was just like a dead rat, but then the guy knew to come pick it up.
Do you think like there's like the informant and they're like, this fucking guy and his rats, like he couldn't pick anything else, like gotta pick up and deal with a dead rat?
So what we see in the show, the dead drop spike, is not referring to a particular weapon. It's just referring to that style of dead drop, which was popular, in that it's a spike. And that's because exactly like how you would tie your tent down, you know, with like a tent spike, that's all it is. You put information inside this capsule and it's spiked at the end so that you can shove it into the ground. And this was very common, like spies would leave them like in parks. And like, let's say you leave it in the park next to a certain lamppost. No one would ever see it until your contact comes around and like he knows where to look for it and could get it out of the ground.
This can be my movie recommendation. Have you ever seen Bridge of Spies?
I have not. That was when I Googled popular CIA KGB films, that came up as the number one, but I've never seen it.
It has probably one of the best realistic depictions of like a dead drop spike, but also with the intel inside.
Yeah. The Americans, again, they do a lot of dead drops in that show. From what I could tell, as far as having a booby-trapped dead drop, I could not find anything that was like this level of explosive. Basically, from what I saw, is if they had a booby trap, it was only designed to destroy what was inside of the dead drop. So like maybe an ink explosion would happen, you couldn't find out what was on the paper, or a small almost thermite kind of thing where it goes like a flash and it just burns whatever is inside of the dead drop. Ideally, you don't want to destroy the intelligence you had to collect, especially if it's the only copy. But you know, if it was something you didn't want falling into enemy hands, it was really all you protected. What they show on here is ludicrous. Like the amount of explosive that's packed into this,
ridiculous.
And it's this gigantic like pen. It's like you're trying to be
the dead drop pole.
Yeah, the goal of the dead drop, that thing could be utilized as a weapon. Like the one they have in the show. The goal of a dead drop is to be subtle, like so that nobody notices it. You wouldn't see it, so you want it to be as small as possible, so you're not packing like a pound of Semtex into.
You're walking your dog at the park and there's like a guy bent over a bush.
I think so.
Holy shit.
So to what Dan was saying, how the exploding cigar is picked, I think, because it's showing the CIA they're smart, they're doing their research, and again, going back to this idea of them being precise. They don't want any collateral damage. They just want to take out their target as efficiently as possible. And I think the dead drop spike is meant to promote the KGB narrative of we don't care, you know, we're going to be as brutal as possible. And it's even punctuated by one of the KGB experts says, like, what's it? Jeff or Max is like, that's a lot of collateral damage, and he goes, the more dead, the better, or something like that. And it's like,
yeah, and then I think Mike Baker's like, yep, that would be the KGB, right? Something like that. It's like, shut up.
I just had a funny thought, Craig.
Huh.
Can you go back when we end up like pulling up the footage? Can you see if Dr. Dorian was using the dead drop spike to stab the mannequin?
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Could be.
Because it kind of looked like it.
well, there is something that looks like the dead drop spike, and I'm glad you mentioned that because I almost forgot. You know what? Save it for the camera gun. That's why I didn't mention it, because we'll talk about it during the camera gun, Dan, and what you're trying to, what I think Dorian has there.
I love whenever they are talking about the weapon and they put the KGB guys, like, they caught them off guard with like a question. They're like, oh, if one of your guys picks it up, how does it not blow up? And they're like, it's, you know, like the way you turn it.
Right. Yeah. It's like, we just know.
If you turn it one way, it blows up. If you turn it the other way, it doesn't. It's like,
yeah, it
just made that up on the spot.
Yeah, it's just trying to depict like the KGB is more brutal or whatever, even though like if you're a spy undercover, you don't want to get caught. Like that's your goal. Even if you don't value your own life, let's say stereotypically that the Russians just want to die, you know. Because you know, I just know so many people that are like, can't wait to blow myself up with this thing.
I heard you have to take it.
Accomplished.
Right, yeah. You can't do your job if you're dead or you get caught, or if the evidence you just spent the last 3 years collecting gets blown up in a fiery explosion.
I heard you have to go and take a bath and open it underwater while Moaning Myrtle watches.
Okay. All right.
Spoilers.
Yeah. Spoilers.
JK, I finished that shit. Okay. So the test, all I have written is that the spike makes the dummy disintegrate.
We do get another Max line too.
What was it?
Righty tighty, lefty kablooey.
Oh, yeah. That's true. Friend of the show. We got to keep reminding people. Okay. Yeah. So like it cannot be overstated how much this dummy just fucking like disintegrates. It's like Mangian car bomb level of like explosion. Like I don't even know if you could pack that much explosive in a little.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's why they had to make it so big, because they're like packing shit in there, and it's like,
yeah.
Why would you want it that giant?
Any thoughts on the test?
It was fun. It was funny.
It was just ridiculous.
I cracked up really hard with the thing just got obliterated, and Stas comes in and he's like, I told you we'd blow his balls off or something.
That's what you said?
Yeah.
Could you imagine opening up a dead drop spike you were supposed to pick up and it's like 90% Semtex and 10% like a piece of paper?
Like, the dummy is like obliterated.
Jesus, man.
Yeah.
The dummy is obliterated in like a million pieces. Jeff walks over, sorts through the body parts, wipes his finger on the center, and he goes, 100G trip.
Yeah, he's like, and the 100G is stripped.
He didn't make it.
I wasn't sure if he was alive or not.
Yeah. So Edge, DDS, any opinions?
I don't care.
Nope.
That's giving me.
I mean, based on the logic of the show, it's a bigger explosive.
What if you
It's the
open a
Edge.
dead drop spike and inside is an exploding cigar?
Neat. X-Files music. Yeah, I mean, neither of these weapons are practical at all for like a 5-on-5 gunfight. Like, unless you're taking it and throwing it at the enemy, and
Shit's
like,
dumb.
yeah, like,
Yeah.
how would this ever work in the sim? But
In a fight with guns.
I think you're not supposed to take it that way. It's a gimmick. It's, you know, a cute little spy thing. So is what it is.
Yep.
Spy gadget.
All right, moving on to. Oh, Matt, we need to ask you, what range is this?
Oh yes. So I imagine this is mid-range, probably.
Okay, mid range.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Right. I'm on it.
So we got the briefcase gun, stats, gun, Walther PPK, first gun stat that we've ever gotten. Range of 25 yards, ammo 380, and a mag of 7 rounds. So you can be like, I guess. So what is this? And I guess I've also never heard of the Walther PPK.
James Bond's gun.
Yeah, the Walther PPK is an extremely popular spy gun.
It's James Bond's gun.
Yeah, it's James Bond. It's
That's why it's in here.
Archer in the show Archer.
Yeah.
That is
They probably picked it because it's also very small.
Yeah, I mean it's a classic spy icon weapon.
Yeah.
Probably thanks to James Bond.
That's pretty much where everyone knows it from. Is essentially, it's a German pistol. Is developed by German's arm manufacturer Karl Walther Sportwaffen. It's been in service many places since 1935. The only official use by the United States that is documented is by the Kentucky State Police, which issued them as a backup gun. Although there's some debate, the CIA agents technically did use a .22 long rifle variant of the PPK at some point. What pistols might actually be in that briefcase, because it probably would not be the Walther. Although they're not limited to standard issue equipment, they adopted the HDMS, a suppressed 22 pistol, which happened to be the CIA's favorite round to use. They used a Browning HP 35, a Liberator single shot 45 caliber pistol that could be shaped like a pen, and they commonly use sawed-off shotguns. Currently today, what would be in that briefcase? They use the Beretta M9, the Glock 19, and the SIG P228. Now, did the CIA actually tuck guns inside of briefcases and rig them to fire? Because it's kind of hard to tell. I think it's more of a Hollywood thing, though. This is like way after, but I know recently in Kingsman 2, they had like a briefcase gun shootout scene. People claiming online that they've used briefcase guns, but nothing was official. There was only one gun ever documented, pretty much, of being inside a briefcase and it rigged to fire out of the briefcase, and it was recovered in Iraq in 2003, and it was an MP5 that was rigged inside.
So, Lucas, thank you for giving us the history of the gun. Dan, give us the history of the briefcase.
Yeah. So the briefcase is an all-leather 1968.
Actually, India was the first in the use of the briefcase.
This, I mean, both of these tests are faked, like the briefcase gun and the camera gun. It's like little editing tricks, and it's obviously someone off screen is like shooting.
The camera gun is like even more ridiculously fake. There's no way you could use either of these two weapons, and like if they act like you and then you walk out of there, like everyone wouldn't know you're the guy who just shot a gun out of your briefcase
as you head in the other direction.
Also, the muzzle flash of a gun would like shred the inside of that briefcase. Like,
and then, like they, even in the test, they have like the guy with bodyguards. He would get gunned down immediately.
Yeah.
It is interesting though that you could probably like consider this concept at least like the grandfather of modern like concealable firearms, because like what Lucas said, the MP5 variant, that was, if I'm remembering correctly, it might not be the same exact example, but HK made their own briefcase gun.
Yeah,
like
the thing that folds out, it's like the personal defense weapon or whatever.
Did we cover that on episode?
It fits in your pocket too. They have one too.
They had them in Modern Warfare 2. I remember you could like float them out and then you flip it.
So you might be thinking, are you thinking of like the FMG?
Yes, something like that.
Yeah, so that's the foldable gun. HK made like an actual briefcase with an MP5K inside of it.
Oh, okay.
Which could go full auto too, which is pretty interesting to think about.
And then you straighten your suit and walk away.
that brings it to an issue I have with both of these guns, in that like, and honestly the remaining weapons too, besides the garrote, in that like, I know it's hidden and I'm a spy. I don't want to know. No one can know who shot. But like, wouldn't it just be better to have a Walther tucked in your fucking like waistband and just to pull it out and shoot a guy? Yeah. Like, honestly, you could like hold your jacket and like shoot a guy and then tuck that in, and it would be less conspicuous than you going like,
oh, do the old
hoping you hit the guy.
Do the Rocco from Boondock Saints 1 where he flicks his jacket out and then you see a guy's head blow off and a hole through his jacket.
Yeah.
Like, I could see the FMG9 as being probably the extent of a realistic example, but if you've ever seen like the conceal carry like cell phone guns, it's like, why not just carry like a small 38?
Right. Why not just have a gun?
It's a gimmick.
Yeah.
Right. So for the test, they have some pedestrian cutouts to make sure there's no collateral damage. The attack bot is back, and the test
a lot of attack bots.
Right. It's not much to say. Like the shot, it's kind of comedic the way the shot hits the dummy, because like the dummy doesn't get shot so much as just starts leaking. Like you hear the and then just the dummy just.
I noticed. So like they show Mike walking, and then they cut to a close up of his finger pulling the string. Like, so. In the universe of the show, a cameraman is like right on him while he's walking, and then it shows it cuts to the mannequins and it shows the shots hit. So obviously, I think that the briefcase gun's just a prop, and then they had someone take like a 9mm gun and just shoot the.
Even when they open the briefcase, that thing is so like ghetto rigged in there too. It's like what you'd like screw like piping down with.
Yeah.
They just like put 2 of it on there. That thing would like rattle around.
I would bet it's even just like the Scorpion or the Mac 10 that they shoot it with.
Probably.
So off screen. But
Yeah. Yeah.
I'd have to look back at like the video of it, because I don't really remember like the sharp editing, but you better believe I think it's there.
Yeah, your brain. You may not notice it, but your brain did.
Yeah.
So
go back and watch it. Our litmus test with Deadliest Warrior is always, do I see a frame where I see somebody shoot and a bullet hit a target? Like,
right.
That's what I want to see. And so I always watch for it, and I notice it when it's not there, and I'm like, they faked that.
Yeah. And then before we move on to the camera gun, when they're assessing the damage, I think Jeff or Dorian, doesn't matter, they say that, it is a kill because it hits the heart. And Stas boldly claims, he goes, it's not a kill. And then they're like, yeah, we just said it was. Like the CIA people. It's like, it's not a kill.
It's on my wallet.
Not to KGB agent.
Yeah. So yeah,
you cut my arm off. I still
mad is with it.
The camera gun.
No, the
you can cut my arm off, I'll still get you.
okay.
I'd have to be blind and armless and legless.
Okay. So camera gun stats. Gun is a Stinger pistol, which I also don't know if I heard of. I know the Stinger glitch in Modern Warfare 2.
That'd be way more effective.
Yeah. 10 yards, 22 ammo, 1 round mag, 10 fucking yards. That's
yeah. It's because it's a really short little gun, and
you got to be like.
Yeah. So
it's not conspicuous.
Here's your close up.
It makes sense when it'll make sense when I tell you about it.
Okay.
So there is no such thing as a camera gun as far as I could find, and I was kind of lost in circles because I'm trying to find. I'm like, what the hell is this based on? And finally, I noticed that stat that it said Stinger pistol, and instantly I found stuff about that. So Lucas mentioned the Liberator, which was a really cheap, like 1 round gun that the Allies would drop into Nazi France by like the thousands. They would just drop them in there, and it was this cheap gun that fired 1 round, that it was meant for, like, if you're a French citizen and this lands in your backyard, you take it, you hide it in a drawer, and if you need to shoot a Nazi in the fucking head, you use that. Like, you walk up to him and you go like this. They have them in Inglourious Bastards, I believe, where they tuck them under their shirt and they punch the guys with them. I think that's a Liberator. But the Stinger, not really a pistol. It's the Stinger pen. So you remember in Spetsnaz episode, we talked about the ballistic knife, and that the ballistic knife was a misconception. The idea that it's a knife that shoots out, a knife blade that shoots out of a handle, is a misconception that started in America that's sold like as a gimmick, kind of like, oh, it's a knife, but it fires.
The show got it wrong.
Right. Well, in this case, this is something similar where it's essentially a ballistic pen. So what this is meant for as a spy tool is it looks like a pen. And that's what I think you saw Dorian using, Dan, without having seen the footage, so I could be wrong. But it looks very much like a dead drop spike if you Google what the Stinger pen, Stinger pistol or pen looked like, and it has 1 .22 caliber shell in it, and it is designed so that you can walk up to somebody, like, it looks like you have a pen, and you can fucking hit them really hard in the back of the head and just kill them with like a 22 real quick. Or they don't know you're armed and you need to get away from somebody, you can hit them and it's going to shoot.
As seen in Johnny English.
Is that in Johnny English?
They have one, but it has like a tranquilizer dart in it, I think.
So I might be wrong. I could not find anything on the camera gun outside of the Deadliest Warrior wiki. And I couldn't find a story that went with it, but the Stinger pen and this idea of like this ballistic knife or ballistic pen being used by the Soviets is something we've even researched on here before. So I thought that was really interesting. Right? Yeah, exactly. What an actual like ballistic pen looks like, where it's 1 .22 caliber shell like jammed in something that's perfectly disguised as a pen, and it's meant to be fired one time, and it's so like let's say you're getting arrested and you're a KGB agent, you can
take the cyanide pill.
Well, besides the cyanide pill, before that, you can hit who's ever trying to arrest you, kill them, and get away. So, yeah, that's what I found.
So it's kind of real.
It's kind of real, but not in the way they depict it. And I think that's
Taken
why they
out of
give
context.
I think that's why they give it a short range, is probably because it is like a really short barrel, and I don't even know if you could like theoretically
aim
to go like this and hit somebody with it. I feel like it's much more designed for if you're in hand-to-hand combat, you have a secret gun on you, basically, where you can hit somebody with it and get away or kill them,
I thought it was kind of funny that he goes out of his way to say it's also a functional camera.
I think that's a prop they just made from the show, and it's a cool thing. It might come from a movie.
I was gonna say, I bet it was in a movie somewhere where like someone was a spy and they were taking real pictures and then like hit a different button and shot someone.
That's what I was trying to find. And you know what? The intelligence agencies, it would be really smart to hide a type of weapon inside a camera, because you can come in as a journalist and sneak it in there and then get a high value target. But I think they even say it in the show where like you shoot the guy from 10 feet away with the camera gun and everybody knows it's you, and the KGB guy's like, we're willing to give everything for the mission.
It's like, you just use a gun.
Right. At that point, you're gonna play it off real cool.
What
the hell was that? Who was that?
To me, same argument as the briefcase gun. There's a clear reason why you would have a ballistic pen instead of a real gun, because it's disguised. I don't see any, just carry a gun with you at that point, because if you are going to be exposed from 10 feet away from a political target you're killing, just pull out a pistol and shoot him.
You know what, man? It's funny that you say that the camera gun's fake, because I actually brought our own camera gun.
Yeah.
So do you want to grab it?
Oh, yes.
There? Yeah.
Yep.
So this actually, believe it or not, is an authentic camera gun from the Soviet era.
Careful where I
Yeah, watch. Don't see. So
it's a piece of shit.
Quiet.
Don't say that about our new camera.
Yeah, so
that we're not using right now.
It's currently off
for undisclosed reasons.
Yeah, it's in the off position, but I've turned it on.
Oh shit!
Eric, Craig, take my picture real quick. Do I look wrong button?
That's what you get, you dirty CIA.
Okay, let's put that in the center. Yeah. The camera gun.
Piece.
Okay. So moving
Safety on that thing.
Yeah, put the safety on, please. Test is very weird. Max. Max. This is that test where he has pink eye again. It's very weird. They set up like a podium with a politician delivering a speech. Then we get a very fake sound effect from the camera gun firing, and clearly there's an effort to make sure there is no complete shot of a bullet leaving the camera gun and hitting the target.
Lights, camera, action!
Which, like, there are a lot of fake tests. Like, when we slow it down, we realize, okay, this is fake. Anyone watching this would see that and be like, something is at least off. Like, something's like uncanny about this test.
Yeah, and even if there was such a thing as a camera gun, it's probably illegal to build one. Right. ATF. It's probably illegal to build one without like a license. So I imagine that thing is just a prop, and it's whatever.
Yeah. Dorian, this is funny. He goes over to like the dummy after it gets shot, and he goes, "This looks really cool." It's like, what? How is something different? Like, you're used to seeing ballistic shells get completely exploded, but this like flesh wound of this ballistic gel is really cool. I mean, he goes in to say like it hits a certain area that like who fucking cares?
Yeah.
So
he says it like goes through the plate.
He says it's the same route you would go if you were operating for a tumor.
Is that what he says?
Precision.
Yeah. He's like, it's so cool.
Yep. Yeah, we take our camera gun and
nurse passed me the camera gun. Then you see a high speed showing where showing like the shot, obviously, and Pavel's holding it, or somebody's holding it, to where it looks like they're aiming it, but then the shot is like clearly from off screen. Like it's you could tell that there's effort made to hide like what's going on. Edge briefcase gun. How do you? Not. I mean, maybe not the worst comparison, but
yeah. I mean, they're both gimmick guns, but if you want my like good faith actual opinion, it's a 9mm with a magazine. You know, it's a bigger bullet with a magazine versus a one-shot 22.
And once
like,
you realize that the briefcase gun is dumb, you could just open the briefcase and take out the gun.
Exactly.
I was just about to say, worst comes to worst, you could just use the fucking Walther.
Can you imagine being in the middle of combat and like your Scorpion runs out of ammo and you toss it down and you pull out your camera and you're like, stick your head up.
Say cheese.
Bastard.
say cheese.
You capitalist dog.
You're going through airport security, you put your briefcase down, and there's just a big gun in it. It's not mine, I swear.
Oh shit, that's my other briefcase.
Yeah. Sorry, I grabbed the wrong one.
Okay.
So stupid.
What if you're a CIA agent undercover and you bring your briefcase and it's like, hey, that's not a briefcase gun, is it? And you're like, no, I just got my camera in here. Okay. This might top most.
This is where I keep my cigars.
Oh, yeah. This. Okay.
This is like the funniest episode.
This is my cigars. They were made in a bomb factory.
Yeah.
They're bombs.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Last but not least, Matt, what range are we dealing with?
I'm pretty sure this is not close range because they always like to put a special. So I'm pretty sure this is a special weapon. It's a shoe knife versus the garrote.
Yeah, shoe knife. 2-inch blade, 1.5 ounces, steel retractable blade. What is this?
So what is it? What I think is real funny is the one on this show is obviously not like a shoe knife. Like they cut a hole in a shoe.
It's like the shittiest looking
They
thing.
even show like Stoss or whatever. Like he's like, all right, so you got like a punching dagger knife, and then he just puts it in the shoe and slides it in there. So it's clearly not like what they're saying it is. Shoe knives do exist.
Shoe knives? The guy who eats stuff on YouTube?
Shoe knives.
That's what I kept thinking.
His subscriber count's gonna go up.
If he's still alive.
The shoe knife does exist. I can neither confirm nor deny whether the KGB
It's classified.
have ever used it. The only thing I know the shoe knife from is that the Joker uses it in The Dark Knight and kicks Batman a couple times with it. Why so serious? All it is, it's like it functions more like a kind of like a switchblade does, where you step on the button and it pops out or it shoots out forward. And I imagine to get it back, you would like just press the blade against the floor and like till it clicks or whatever in the spring. I think it's just something. I think it's like a gimmick thing. To me, it comes off like the ballistic knife, because at the end of the day, again, why not just carry a knife on you? Why not just have a knife in your pocket?
Hear me out.
Because
a pair of Heelys with a shoe knife in it, you'd be unstoppable.
You would be. Yeah.
You'd like scoot and with the shoe knife.
Because I know like the gimmick of the shoe knife is, oh, he's not going to see it coming if I kick him with the knife. But
I feel like Heelys with a shoe blade would be the Deadliest Warrior equivalent. This is a modern day chariot.
Yeah, he's like, I picture the guy from the Keld episode, like the drunk uncle. He's like, healing.
Again, same comment I had with the ballistic knife that they show. That's like a knife that the blade shoots out in the Spetsnaz episode.
The spring goes bling.
Yeah, same comment I have with this shoe knife thing. It comes off to me like something you would go onto ninjawarehouse.com when you were like 15 and you would buy nunchucks and like throwing stars, and your mom would be like, where did you get those? And you and your friends are like throwing them at each other in the woods. That's what the shoe knife comes off to me as. It's like, oh, I'm gonna buy, check this out. Yeah, it's like, cool.
I'm sorry, I don't really remember. What was the test for the shoe knife?
Pavel puts on his like the fake shoe knife that they have. It's just a knife inside a shoe with a hole in it. and then he kicks a pig carcass like a few
Okay, it was a
times.
pig.
And they're like, wow, it's a knife. It can kill you.
Yeah, it's cutting him.
Definitely.
I remember there being a shit ton of blood though.
Yes, yeah. It's in like one of those pigs where they sewed it up and they put a bunch of
Right.
blood bags in it. So
Yeah, the CIA keeps acting holier than thou too. They're acting like they've never done anything fucked up. They're like,
yeah.
this is barbaric.
Yeah,
or whatever.
they're like, this is classic KGB, just messy, so much blood on the floor. It's like,
And
Shut
we
the fuck
glanced
up.
over that with
It's
take
like-
3 now.
yes,
but
it's
like when
much more humane to behead a guy with a piano wire garrote.
well, like what we said earlier with them showing the reenactment of the guys getting electrocuted by the KGB, and it's like, oh, who would ever do a thing like that?
Yeah.
his mother standing over his casket looking at, he's been beheaded by a piano wire garrote, and she's like, well, at least they didn't kick him with a shoe knife.
You know what my
That's the
favorite
one solace we can have in our son.
You know what my favorite meme ever was? It was just like, waterboarding at Guantanamo Bay sounds awesome if you know what neither of those things are.
It does sound like, yeah, I paid extra, you know. The guide took me out on the
Classic.
boat, the local.
Okay.
It's like when I went snorkeling in Jamaica. You know?
All right, garrote. So stats are that it is 3 feet. It's less than a pound. Still wire or cloth. So how commonly is the garrote used today?
Hitman games?
I was just gonna say
Hitman
no,
games?
not counting Hitman.
One of my favorites.
Always goes back to Hitman.
Yeah.
Now, the garrote is just a blanket term for any weapon used to strangle a person. It's not necessarily one thing. On Wikipedia, there's a list of notable people who've died by garroting, so it's a real thing. It's been used throughout history in torture, assassination, and executions.
Who's that guy? Letter media always make fun of. He auto asphyxiated.
Oh, is it David Carradine?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he died by garrote.
Yeah.
Kind
The
of.
execution method for a garrote is pretty gnarly too, because they would tie you to a post, tie the garrote around you, and they'd slowly like
Tighten
apply
it.
That sounds like the
pressure to
KGB,
garrote.
Dan.
Yeah.
No, I swear.
That method was widely employed during the 17th and 18th century, and again, widely used during World War II. So, various military bodies, such as the French Foreign Legion, issue a garrote, which looks exactly like the one on the show, where it's essentially 2 handles with steel wire. Supposedly, the CIA would issue agents as far back as the 1950s an assassination manual that taught the technique of garroting. Now, when he does this little excerpt here on blood chokes too, that is a real thing that I at least learned when I was in the Marine Corps, and they make you experience it, which is where you essentially cut off the blood flow to an artery for about right here for 5 to 6 seconds, and you start to black out.
Yeah, you gotta aim for the garroted artery.
Boo.
And it only takes about 8 pounds to crush a trachea to impede breathing. Now, I'll let you get to the test before I start.
How does it feel to
about
get garroted?
Well, we did it with like our
Choke
arms.
yourself, Private Pile.
Not with any
Well,
like
yeah.
weapon.
If you put someone in a chokehold, is that really a garrote? Is that fair?
Yeah, you can still cut off the artery.
But to be
Make
like,
people
I'm gonna
black out.
hit you with my garrote. Like,
Well, I was just saying that's like the where he
I guess
talks
the
about
feeling, yeah.
He talked about the blood choke, and that's like a real thing. Is where you cut off the blood, and it only takes like 5 seconds to black out.
Yeah, so garrote, I actually didn't write anything down for the test. Doesn't he like cut the head off of the dummy?
I got the test here. So it's done, of course, on a ballistics gel, because that's what ballistic gels are intended for. We get a nice shot of him like initially faking like he's pretending to choke the guy first, and then pulls the wire straight through the neck. So in real life,
It wouldn't go through.
yeah, the garrote is one would not go through and is not supposed to do that.
Right.
But it's supposed to leave very little damage on the victim, and that's kind of like what you're getting at. As a weapon, they're just saying, yeah, we can choke people out.
Yes.
With anything and everything.
Yeah. We even get a shot where what's that guy's name? Steve or whatever? The one that's not Mike
Are you thinking Steve Downs?
Yeah,
Isn't that the voice of Master Chief?
Yeah, Master Chief.
Frank.
Frank.
Dawes. Whatever. Frank.
Tony Soprano.
Our Tony Soprano stand-in. So there is a shot where he takes a cloth one and he's like choking like a mannequin with it. and it gave me big vibes. One of the most popular Soprano episodes of all time, College, season 1, where Tony chokes out, or he finds a rat that's now in what is it, protective like cover or whatever, witness protection, and he finds a rat and he kills him by garroting him. And so I thought of that episode.
Like a little rat.
No, like a former mafia guy.
He looks inside him. He's like, oh, there's a dead drop in here.
Yeah, there's a dead drop in there. Don't touch that, Tone.
Okay.
I read about this.
Yeah.
For the edge,
There could be a cigar in there.
Yeah. There could be a cigar. Okay.
This episode's pretty stupid sometimes.
I mean, to be fair, the source material is pretty dumb too.
Yeah.
Like, so the Edge, I honestly forgot to write it down. I didn't feel like rewinding.
They
I think it's the
they give it to the shoe knife.
the shoe knife. Yeah.
I got a show note right here. This is for the audience. At 32 minutes and 35 seconds, you get Jeff's "when you nut and she keeps sucking" face.
It is worth it. You sent that to us earlier. But
All right, let's fucking finish this. Let's get to the sim.
the reenactment
That would make such a good thumbnail. The Jeff face.
coming up.
Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. That's the Mario music. Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. Oh man, someone's just handed me this secret envelope. Ooh. Oh, it says classified on it. It doesn't say anything, but
Got this out of a dead drop spike.
let's see what's inside. It says, "Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Lucas, your sim master for the day for CIA versus KGB, and it's up to me to debrief everyone on the matchup that has taken place 1,000 times.
If you're
Also-
watching this at home, hit your fucking enter key right now.
Also, oh no, this will self-destruct in 2 seconds. It's got a 4-minute burn."
Okay. I want to say real quick, this is probably the best sim of the entire series.
That's my
it's
next
like
line. I said this is my favorite sim.
it's like a short film. There's so much effort put into this. Like,
Yeah.
unironically.
Creatively, the actors are good.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're like really sarcastic on this podcast. Obviously, this is legitimately like an awesome sim.
Yeah, well, when we got to this sim, the rest of the episode made sense to me. I was like, because like I said, we love our spy movies, we love our TV shows, and this was Deadliest Warrior's chance to make like a little
Mini spy movie.
spy movie, like a little.
It's a lot of fun.
A little short spy film. It is probably the best reenactment we get, like unironically the best reenactment we get in the entirety of the show. Though we're not totally all the way through yet, but
We haven't seen a narrative story like this since Al Capone.
yes, yeah. But
Yeah.
I've been waiting a couple weeks now to hear Lucas's rendition of it.
I'll do my best. So before we stated earlier, this is our first appearance of 2 female warriors this time. So look forward to that. So without further ado, all the testing is done. All the bitching is done. All the grievance relievances are mostly done. So let's do this.
Never done.
We open up as a stealthy man wearing your dad's camping outfit that your mom keeps trying to throw out, sneaks into the embassy of the USSR. He's CIA agent 001. 001, if you will. Meanwhile, CIA agent 002 sits in the truck. Man, wouldn't it be lame if he just sits there till the very end? He looks through his binoculars, and 001 gives him a nod that he's going in. Oh, but hot on his trail is KGB agent 001, who just might be the expert from the show. Is he the expert from the show? I feel like he is. The
Who, Mike Baker?
No, the KGB, the first
Stas?
agent.
Oh,
Who's the first expert? I forget his name. now.
Pavel?
I think that's
You
him.
think it's Pavel? Okay.
Yeah, so we can check back on that. If I'm wrong, just cut this.
If it's wrong, it's definitely Pavel the Lesser.
A deep cut. Deep cut for our Star Wars fans.
CIA agent 001 walks in, throws his briefcase down on the table, and inside is a gun, enormous amount of money. Thank you. He trades the money for a film roll, presumably of nuclear secrets, but little does he know, he just made a deal with KGB agent 002. Just then, he senses something's off, so he offers the KGB agent a prank cigar. KGB double agent 02 lights up and takes a puff, presumably smoking it for around 4 minutes, as a memory of his 3rd grade teacher saying smoking kills rings through his head. Boom! And just like that, his face is gone. Agent 001 of the CIA picks up his briefcase and starts walking out, and comes across the most suspicious looking people I've ever seen in history with this shitty little suspicious camera. It's like, oh yeah, take a good picture right there.
Also, no one else in the embassy, I noticed. Completely empty besides the spies.
So
right before he walked out, they were like, act natural.
Dang. Those suspicious looking people are secret KGB agent 003 and 004, just harmlessly taking pictures of each other, while CIA agent 003 sits at a table with his briefcase. Until, bang! The camera that definitely doesn't look like a made-up piece of shit fires a 22 shell through 001's head. CIA agent 003 stands up, fires his briefcase gun into the cameraman's chest.
Quick draw.
The female 004 guns him down with some scorpion blasts. Just like that, it's 3v3. She steals the film roll back as 2 shadows approach toward the door. CIA 004 bursts in, somehow wearing an even worse outfit than 001.
I call Agent 4 the goofy hat guy.
Followed by CIA agent 005, who is our female CIA agent. We have a quick, awful elevator shootout where the CIA guy watches the door close, then tries to stop the doors from closing after they're already closed, knowing they were already closed, that there was no way because he literally just watched them close. The KGB woman then creates a dead drop spike with the film roll as the doors open up, and we get the classic aiming your guns at a teammate scene. We finally catch up to KGB agent 05 having an existential crisis in the front seat of the car. But just then,
he looks very distraught.
Yeah, he's like, CIA agent 002 spots him and starts formulating a plan. Just then, the 2 CIA agents inside catch up to the 2 KGB agents, and we get a shootout in a kitchen. 004 does a sick jump over the counter, and 005 does a sick roll behind the counter. I dare you to keep up with any of these code names and who they are. The 2 women agents meet up behind the same cover. Both pop up at the same time. Then we get some hand-to-hand combat and some girl-on-girl action as the KGB female agent takes out the CIA agent. CIA 004 jumps out with his goofy hat and guns her down. He follows the now bleeding KGB agent up the stairs, where there's a ride-on lawnmower parked on the 2nd story for some fucking reason, in case someone needs to mow the 2nd story of this building.
How'd you see that?
There's a big ride-on mower just as soon as he goes up the stairs.
In Soviet Rush. Insert joke.
So the blood trail leads right to the bathroom.
Do you think it's like a buffer? You know what I'm talking about? Or are you sure it's a lawnmower?
It's a ride-on lawnmower. It's just sitting there. Like,
John Deere?
It's center frame. Like, it's kind of one of those, like, you don't realize what you're looking at, but it's like center frame. It's
carpet
like
just
it's like a
grows like
ride-on,
grass.
like gray lawnmower. So blood trail leads right to the bathroom where we get some hand-to-hand combat. The KGB pulls out a Sioux knife, kicks the CIA agent right in the stomach, kicks him right in the stomach again. Ow. He's down but not out. He fights back and jams the MAC-10 into the KGB stomach and blasts him.
Worst sound effect.
Good thing he's safe for now. Time to check on that film the KGB was carrying. Shit.
Oh no.
It's a bomb. Boom! Meanwhile, KGB 005.
He gets killed in the shitter, doesn't he?
Yeah, they're both in like they're both laying on the bathroom floor.
Yeah, he's like standing next to a urinal and he opens that up.
Now's as good a time as any.
The final KGB agent 005 senses something wrong, gives up his existential crisis and leaves the car to go inside. When he gets there, he just sees what's left of the mess and thinks, I'm getting out of here. I think we've seen every weapon at this point. Is there anything we
I
didn't
think you're
cover?
wrong about that, Lucas.
Oh, wait, hang on. There might just be one weapon that we haven't seen that only applies to one specific scenario. He gets back in the car and gets garroted by Agent 002, who let his whole team die, but good thing he was there to get that final kill. CIA wins, and America gets its redemption for Green Beret versus Spetsnaz.
Yeah.
Yeah, so CIA wins. Kill totals. CIA MAC-10 gets 413. Exploding Cigar gets 41.
How?
The briefcase gun gets 95, and the garrote gets that one kill we just saw for a total of 550. KGB, the Scorpion, gets 361. The Dead Drop Spike gets 74. The camera gun gets 10, which is somehow even more surprising than the Exploding Cigar. And the shoe knife gets 5 for a total of 450. I would much rather have a shoe knife than a fucking camera gun.
I know, right?
How does the garrote get 1, but the Exploding Cigar gets 41? I feel like in the hand-to-hand scenarios,
bizarre.
maybe the garrote could be used to like tie up someone.
Right.
But
It's wild to think that one
Well-
car scenario was the only garrote kill.
I would say I have no clue how a lot of this stuff would function in the sim. And
Everyone's carrying around either cameras or briefcases.
this total is 550 to 450. It's a perfect 100 kill differential, which just leads me to believe that this episode is like, I mean, we've talked about how all the episodes are kind of rigged, but like this one, I feel like they just made those numbers up like clean. Like they were like, Max was like, I don't know how to put an Exploding Cigar in this thing, and they were like, don't worry about it, we'll just make something up.
if you look at the stats too, the CIA's 2 guns are enough. They're over 500, just those 2 together.
Yeah.
So it's like everything else was just, besides the MAC-10, the briefcase gun can be argued, and the Scorpion, everything else was just a joke.
I even remember watching this for the first time when it came out, and they showed all the weapons, and then they tested the MAC-10 and the Scorpion, and I was like, well, the matchup's already been decided. Like, those SMGs are going to get more kills than anything else they show here. I was like, so if the CIA got the edge in that, then like they're gonna
Episode's over.
Yeah, like they're gonna win. You can see the writing on the wall right from the get-go. And actually, numerically, what makes the most difference is that so the MAC-10 gets 52 more kills than the Scorpion, which is pretty significant. But the briefcase gun gets 85 more kills than the camera gun.
Because it's a real gun.
Yeah, because it's an actual it's a pistol versus like a one-shot like camera gun. So I don't know. I feel like it is made up. This is a fun episode that's meant to just be watched for the gimmick that it is and just enjoyed. Like, oh, it's the spy episode of Deadliest.
I want the cut where he goes to throw the briefcase down full of money. They open it up and there's a gun. He goes, oh, sorry, wrong one. And he grabs the other briefcase and puts it on the table.
But really, if you think about it, the only reason this episode exists as an apology for Green Beret versus Spetsnaz.
Yes.
Because one, in universe, this matchup makes no sense with Deadliest Warrior. And also, like,
These two have fought before. Like,
yeah,
Right,
no
I had
doubt.
a note.
Yeah.
I was going to save that for my closing remark. It's that you said that in Green Beret Spetsnaz, where it's like, they probably have fought before. We just don't know.
Right.
These guys have.
Yeah,
like,
right.
Yeah.
They were snatching each other up all the time.
Yep.
Yeah, so you have like in universe doesn't make any sense. You're favoring the CIA, who their whole thing is not brutality, precision, but it's Deadliest Warrior. Mm-hmm. So that doesn't really make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
The tests are fake, pretty much all of them. Like most of the weapons aren't really used. I think at least
like
half.
the metric.
So what's the
the
point?
metric of. Sorry.
No,
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Just saying, the metric of success here is what makes you a bad spy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll get, I guess, everyone's closing remarks after the aftermath. But this episode is just only exists to apologize for Green Bay versus Spetsnaz.
They're probably just like, the CIA, I guess, won in real life, so we'll just give them the win.
Yeah.
I do like the predictable writing, because when we were watching this together, like me and Kelly, we got to the point where the MAC-10 happened in the bathroom, and then we saw like the dead drop spike was happening. It's like, okay, we haven't seen the grot yet.
Yeah,
so
right.
Yeah.
I think there's one weapon we haven't seen yet.
That was literally exactly what she said.
So let's do the aftermath. Dan, I don't have too many notes on here, so if there's something you feel like is worth discussing, go ahead. I try not to bring up questions unless I feel like they're, interesting.
Right. So normally the aftermaths are just kind of like a cringe fest of people like phoning in and you make fun of them. But there were some good thoughts brought up in this one that I kind of liked.
Yeah, like
first off, with the van test, they brought up the defense that you mentioned earlier how they went outside the back of the van instead of the front, like the KGB guys. In the aftermath, they said that was on purpose because they were using the van as cover when they went around.
I was thinking I could see them saying what direction do you want to go, maybe, or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's like the KGB would probably think of that. It's just these guys aren't KGB agents.
Right.
Like, yeah. Right.
So they use that as cover, and that counts as, part of their tactics, X factor.
Yeah.
And they say that they specifically targeted the bartender first because he was behind hard cover. And these are all really good points in reality, but it's like, do I believe for 1 second that got put in the sim somehow?
Do I believe for 1 second he actually targeted the bartender first and just didn't happen to hit that target?
Because Jeff's so blown away, he's like, they actually decided to target the bartender. Again, the precision narrative.
Yeah.
But just some general stuff. Get into the aftermath. Unfortunately, Stas does not make an appearance, and it is Pavel. No disrespect, Pavel, but Stas is a living meme. And then you get Mike Baker and Jeff. So when discussing if they were surprised at the outcome, Pavel and Mike say that they didn't know the result until the show aired, calling back to the episode 1 Yumpu article interviewing Snake Blocker, talking about how he didn't know. We talked about what that would meant. So it's interesting that like they don't know, and those ending scenes are all fake, where they ask them what they think. They ask them both scenarios.
They film two different.
And just use
which is
whatever.
like, why is it that secret? Like, we're not talking about Game of Thrones here. We're talking about fucking Deadliest Warrior. Like, to act like we got to give multiple endings so no one leaks it online. Like, who gives a fuck? So the viewer asked if there was any concern this matchup wasn't exactly Warrior v. Warrior and more Spy v. Spy, which is interesting. I think it's a fair question. Pavel mentions that
before.
What's that?
Debate we've had before.
Right.
I almost brought that up again. Like, are these considered warriors? But I was like, we've harped on that enough with other.
Yeah.
So that is something they bring up. Pavel mentions that the KGB and CIA also completed paramilitary operations beyond traditional spying. And Jeff says, it's one thing to sit in an office chair, but when your job and training is to go out there and kill a man, that's when you cross the line to becoming a warrior. Like, what, the mafia?
Right.
So, I don't know. What do you guys, any thoughts on that statement?
I mean, I think you could consider the CIA and the KGB warriors because they kill. Like, they are part of a war. They're agents in the field in a war. I think this show, I mean, we've brought it up before, like with Alexander the Great and Attila the Hun, where it's like they are warriors, but they were known for not charging like at each other one-on-one. Like this is Spy v. Spy, and the fact that they have like 5 KGB and 5 CIA just like gunning it out in like a building with each other is pretty loony, because like that's not how
shit has gone horribly wrong for both sides.
Yeah, right. Mistakes were made. And so
You didn't get the scar. You didn't take the scar.
I think you could consider them warriors, but maybe not in such a traditional, like they're not like a conventional warrior that's meant to like do this kind of fighting. They're espionage spies,
Also, I know I picked on Pavel for misspeaking, and I'm sorry, but I'm going to do it again. At the end, he goes, in defense of the KGB, he's like, I don't care. This is a computer generalized result.
Bum, 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 bum.
What an idiot. He only speaks 3 languages. So, yeah. I agree. I mean, in Jeff's defense, I was a little goofing on him a little bit. You have to draw the line of a warrior somewhere. So I don't think it's the craziest thing for this show to feature them. Last thing I had that I thought was funny, the viewer says, if the garrote cut through the gel torso's neck, a garrote wouldn't just do that. Does that mean every sword test on a gel torso is fake? So it's like...
Can I answer that, Craig? Yes.
It's like this 11-year-old kid losing his Deadliest warrior virginity, realizing this shit is not real. But
the same realization we had when we watched Spartan Reed Ninja to do this podcast. And we were like, that ballistics gel doesn't look like the consistency of human tissue.
Yeah, Jeff gives some excuse, doesn't really matter, but what's he gonna do? So
Sure.
I will say also, these questions are all very brutal. As much as you want to make fun of the aftermath, the questions have to be 100% real, because they're half of them are shitting on the show, and they still read them, which I gotta respect. So, Dan, anything you wanted to cover in the aftermath that I didn't?
I don't think so. I think I got it all. Maybe some closing thoughts. Did
you want to start us off with closing thoughts?
With Take 3, I didn't get to mention, I did find a good article that Frank Dowse wrote, where he was, in 2015, cited as saying, to not arm Ukraine is a choice we cannot afford, which I just thought was very relevant and timely.
True.
I like this episode. I really do. I think it's definitely not a mismatch, but definitely a mischaracterization, if that makes any sense. So I was kind of thinking to myself, what if we had something more like GSG-9 versus SWAT, where instead you had FBI versus FSB kind of thing, something that's more known for being a tactical operator kind of thing, which maybe that would have been too repetitive. I don't know. Just thinking about something that was more entertaining than a camera gun.
Yeah. Lucas?
Yeah, great episode on paper where it's spy versus spy. It's something very interesting. It's kind of, how many times can you put warrior versus warrior where you need to spice it up every now and again? But I completely get what you're saying, Dan, with the mischaracterization, where it's just they portray these with these kind of goofy weapons that probably not what they'd actually be doing. And
I feel like if they chose slightly different warriors, they could have kept the narrative with a lot more interesting picks.
Yeah, I think just at the end of the day, too, just the weapons just kind of... I get what they're going for on this one, but it kind of flops sometimes, where you're just you're watching a cigar blow up and you're like, this is dumb. But, fun episode. It's fun. I bitched a little bit, but I thoroughly enjoyed watching this one.
Turn your brain off and enjoy.
Yeah. Destroy All Humans 2 is probably getting a remaster, so take out some KGB agents as Crypto Spiridium 138.
I like that plant gun. I remember that was really cool. It's the last gun you unlock where the plant comes out of the ground.
There's one where you can get a meteor that comes down too.
That was cool.
If you want to see a good, accurate, modern day CIA representation, I recommend Jack Ryan, the new one on Amazon. Good show.
I just finished watching that show, Dan.
Nice. What'd you think?
I'd recommend you skip it.
Really?
It's contradicting.
Season 1 was good. Season 2 not so much.
Yeah.
I recommend you watch every other episode. That's my...
Yeah.
So, yeah, my final thoughts. I'll let Craig close this out. KGB versus CIA. It was a fun episode. I realized what it was very early on, and I was like, all right, it's a goofball episode, and I just kind of...
You'll allow it?
I don't know. I laughed a lot. It was a good bit of fun, and it's been a trial getting this episode filmed. So I'm glad it's over.
Yeah. The 4-hour episode in the making.
Yeah.
Right.
Remember when we said this would be a short one?
It probably is a short episode relative to our other ones.
2 hours, 10 minutes.
We've just been filming for the last 5 hours.
Right. So I want to start off my closing remarks with a little bit of a pet peeve of mine. Whenever people are critiquing media, one common thing that I hear all the time, and I can't stand it, is when people are like, it was just good, dumb fun. It was just dumb fun, and I loved it. I think that's so lazy and annoying. I hate when people say that. However, I do think this episode applies to that. It's everything you want at Deadliest Warrior.
Lazy and annoying. The episode applies that.
Well, you have fake tests, you have funny experts, you have goofy weapons, you have an amazing sim. I mean, this is up there with Green Beret vs. Spetsnaz in terms of like having it all, you know. So I mean, I don't think it necessarily tops that episode, but it's the closest that we get. Super entertaining, probably funnier than Green Beret vs. Spetsnaz if I could. If I could put it above it in some respects. So
it might be the funniest Deadliest Warrior episode.
Yes,
honestly.
So if you're looking for a type of Deadliest Warrior episode that you can laugh at, this is definitely one I'd go back and potentially pay $2.99 on Amazon for.
Or $1.99 for ST.
It is one of a kind. This is not a copy and paste episode. It's very unique, like in its design. So
right, and the sim also makes no sense. So that's another hallmark that you know.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, I think with that though, I am happy to say this episode is over. We'll see how much of it we have left after all this with this fucking thing.
Dun.
Careful with that thing.
Yeah, I know. Dan, I'm going to aim at you and I want to thank you for coming on.
Please, no.
Oh, Craig, aim that camera at that camera.
Oh, Dan's no longer on the feed. What you want me to do?
Aim that camera at that camera real quick.
Okay.
Stay deadly. Pull the trigger. Stay deadly.